Okay, what is up, everybody? I'm sorry I look like this. I legitimately just walked in the door. So, give me one sec. Let me make sure. I think we're good in terms of lighting here. Let's get that off the screen. What is up? Thank you for being here. Another Thursday night live stream on Drums and Drams. It's been a few weeks. So as you come in, please hit that like button. Thank you for coming back. I know I haven't said anything. I haven't made any posts or any videos in a couple weeks. So I appreciate you being here. I owe people emails, the whole bit. Life has been kind of busy. So I just got back from a really cool event here in Columbus. And congratulations to the COO of the Columbus Symphony. He was named to the 40 under 40 here in Columbus. So we were out, at that event and then celebrating. It was really, really fun. So we have a lot of whiskeys to taste tonight, and I'm going to say hello to some of you guys in the chat. Toshi Bake, we do have a stream tonight, man. Thanks for being here. I'm going to say hello to you guys. Very excited for this. There is a giveaway tonight as well, just so you know. So Toshi, I see that you jumped in for 50. I'll get that queued up. Hey, are there any mods in here? Maybe Amy? I know, Amy, we have our system. Amy, if you're in here and you can track, that's cool. And if not, no big deal. I will totally track the super chats for tonight's giveaway. I'm going to take this tie off here in just a second, but I want to make sure I'm good to go just in terms of logistics and everything. So we have some really great whiskeys to taste tonight. I've already had a couple of drinks. I've had a really, really terrible Cabernet at the event. It was like a catered situation, so just like the general red wine was not good. But then we went to I did bring actually this Armagnac, this 42 year in a flask. I actually need to get the flask out. So we flasked it up with some really old Armagnac, which was cool, and then went to an Italian place, and I had to get out of there to get back here, and I was drinking some Nebbiolo from Langhe, I think is how you say it. So the affordable Barolo, essentially. Oh, Amy, thank you for tracking. Oh my God, that would save me. That would save me so much. Let me get a banner up here for the giveaway, just so everybody knows. Give me 2 seconds, guys. Again, thank you for being here. As you jump in here, if any of you have the ADHD whiskey Jack Daniel's pick, we are going to taste this tonight. I cannot wait. This arrived today. If any of you have 1843, the David Nicholson, we're going to get into that that's going to be the first pour of the night, I believe. 100 proof, nice, easy opener. And then another thing that we're going to be tasting this evening is the Peerless High Rye, which I'm going to tell you right now is probably the pour I'm the most excited to taste for all of you. We also have the Redwood Pipe Dream Cast Strength Hard Truth Batch 1. Little throwback to Batch 1. I've got something from Dogfish Head, the alternate takes 4 whiskey, which is 86 proof, a brand new product from Dogfish Head, which I'm kind of honored to get that from them, because I used to drink their 120-minute IPA quite a bit. We also have a little Armagnac action this evening. So hit that like button as you jump in here. I'm going to get this banner up very quickly for the giveaway that Amy's going to track. And I believe we have Toshi already in for 10 entries. And Toshi, I'll get to that super chat in just a second. That was a lot of words in a small amount of time. Every $5 in super chats or Venmo PayPal gets you one entry, giveaway entry for a sample pack of tonight's pours. And we're going to have 2 winners tonight. All right, so 2 winners. And the sample pack we'll talk about in just a second will be most of the things that I just mentioned. So I got to get a first pour. I was going to say I really need a drink, but I really don't need a drink. I've had quite a few already. Okay. I want to say, for those of you just now jumping in, I want to say that I dressed up for the live stream, but that's not why I'm dressed up. If I started dressing up for these live streams, I think I would probably maintain 10% of the viewers that come in here, because you'd be like, who is this guy? All right. Ari D in the house. I'm going to keep that up. Peter White thought the 30-year Armagnac cast strength I have is old. These Delord bottles are really old. Yeah, they are. And Peter, thanks for being here, man. JG in 5 will be past your curfew cam. Well, you're right, Jay. I just graduated high school, so. John Matlick, cheers, everyone. Chattanooga 111 in the glass. Let me know what you're sipping on, guys, as we go through this. And hopefully some of you do have the ADHD whiskey, Jack Single Barrel, and maybe the 1843 to sip on. If not, maybe the brand new Peerless as well. All right, Jeff Perkins. Good to see you, dude. Cheers, all. Hope everyone is sipping on something good. I'm mixing it up. A Flight of Foursquare. Very cool. I actually had what I think was the favorite, or my favorite rum that I've ever tried just recently, and I wish I could remember what the rum was. It was at A1 Liquors in Effingham, Illinois, on the way back from St. Louis, which we'll talk about in a second also, because that's where all these bottles come from. It's the place where Lance, the Whiskey Tornado, runs his picks through. Very cool spot, very nice staff, and they let me try their rum pick. It's a 10-year toasted oak finish rum. It was the first rum where I was like, I like that a lot. So that was kind of exciting for me. Are you Slammer? Quick question. Venturing into Scotch, what would you recommend? First, Scotches. You need to know whether or not you like smokiness. Generally, people don't like that if they're coming from American whiskey. My recommendation always is go for something approachable. Glenmorangie 10 is really approachable. Some people also find luck in the Glenmorangie 14 right away, the Quinta Ruban port finish, which coming from bourbon is a little easier to palate that. Glenfiddich 12 is fine, and Glenlivet 12 are fine, but I find that the Glenfiddich 15 is maybe actually a little bit more approachable for an American whiskey-centric person. Jay, Cameron forgot how the camera works. No. John, Cam's been taking lessons from Dan. I know I'm late. I'm sorry. Paul, what is up, dude? Thanks for being here, man. I'm going to keep scrolling. William Molnar, shirt and tie. Not underdressed. I'm overdressed, and I'm going to take the tie off in a second. Toshi, thank you, man. $50 super chat. I appreciate that so much. Hell yeah, ready for a fun stream. Hope you've been good, Cam. Hope you've been good, too, and cheers to you. First sip of the night, on this stream at least, guys. David Nicholson, 1843. Cheers. Matt Porter is here. Matt, we're going to talk about your pick and talk about tomorrow night also, which is going to be freaking awesome. It's going to be so fun. So let's keep going here. John Matlick used to live in Dublin, Hilliard. I grew up in Hilliard, man. Brandon Lincoln, looking sharp, Cam. Thank you, Brandon. I'm going to keep scrolling. Keith Thompson, you got the high ride today. I'm glad. Are you going to pop it on tonight's stream? And Paul, I've missed you too, man. Nancy Fraley. Nancy, this calls for a celebration that you're in the chat. This calls for one of your own concoctions. Looking good. I'm excited for you to chat about the Delord Armagnac. If you ever have a chance to visit their distillery in France, let me know. I could probably get you hooked up for a VIP. France is one of the places, because Sarah and I are starting to get into wine. We love Armagnac, but we're just grossly underread, underlearned. We just don't know enough about Armagnac. But I think the first trip that Sarah and I make to Europe, we definitely have to go to Scotland. But I'm going to see if I could twist her arm into going to France too, because I think it would be a lot of fun. So getting into some Armagnac would be very, very cool, Nancy. And by the way, speaking of Nancy Fraley, I just recently popped open this Magnus batch 73, which is Return of the Dark One. And the reason I ended up getting this, I paid secondary for it, is because the tasting notes that Nancy provided mentioned that this one harkens back to the Darth Vader batch and other similarly dark-flavored, dark-profiled batches. So I will taste this very quickly. I didn't plan on kicking it off with this, but I also didn't plan on kicking this off with Nancy Fraley in the chat. So a living legend for all of us. Joe, thanks for being here, man. Dennis R., cheers all. Glad to see you live. Missed you the past few weeks. I missed you guys, and thanks, Dennis. I appreciate you saying that. I'm going to keep scrolling. We got Top Dog in the house. We got Austin Erickson for $20. Austin, thank you. Cheers, everyone. Sipping on my first bottle of Four Gate ever, the Burai. I haven't had that one. Prepping for my bachelor party. Oh, congrats, man. This weekend and bourbon tasting tomorrow night to kick the weekend off. That sounds great. That sounds great. Marty Whiskey Nose. What is up? Nancy, looking forward to the Matt Porter pick tonight, too. And actually, Nancy, that might be interesting to put next to your cigar blend. With the high proportion of Barton still in this batch 73, some of those older Bartons can come across like some of these Jack picks. You know, the little banana note in there. The Jack has a little more of that tannic finish to it, but similarly dark and high-proof flavor profiles, I would say. Oh, Keith, you already opened it. Nice one, dude. Nice one. Clay, what is up? Shauna, I see you in here too. Cheers to all of you. And Jeb, you did see me last night. I'm bleeding the feed with Drums and Drams. Cheers, guys. With some of the Return of the Dark One Batch 73 cigar blend. Oh my God, that's so good. This is a superstar collection of batches in this mother blend. Incredible. And Nancy, the only other unopened cigar blend I still have now is Batch 77 Freebird. So that one's getting saved for a special occasion, of course. But this is awesome. Jack Mihav is sipping on some Courage and Conviction American single malt sherry finish. Very cool. Haven't had the opportunity to try that one. What distillery? Remind me of the distillery that's from. And does Nancy work with them? Could be a very small world in here tonight. Thank you, Amy. Yeah, everybody hit that like button. If you would not mind. It's free and it really helps the channel out. Get some more folks hanging out tonight. As we review, honestly, what I think is going to be one of the most exciting whiskeys of the year. No joke. No joke. The Peerless High Rye, I think, has incredible potential and already is an outstanding whiskey. So that's going to be fun. Okay. All right. Apologies for the white tee under here. I didn't wear the V-neck because I didn't think I'd be going tieless tonight, but I got home at the very last minute, so maybe the mic can kind of cover that up. Batch 73 cigar blend is so good. I fell for it, Joe. I fell for it. Where's that? Jack Mihov. There it is, right there. God dang it. It's from Virginia Distilling. That's right, Virginia Distilling Company. I've never had a Virginia Distilling Company product. And also, you got me. Real quick, Pepsid. Let's get a little Pepsid down the hatch. It is a live stream night. And let's go through this now. Let's go through what we're going to be tasting tonight in the order that we're going to be tasting it. First off, David Nicholson, 1843. There it is. This is the wheated mash bill from Lux Row, obviously now owned by MGP or Ross and Squibb. So we're essentially looking at wheated Heaven Hill right here, but this thing fared very well for me in a blind flight recently from Amy, and so I wanted to pick a bottle up, and here we have it. So this is going to be the first pour of the night. All of the bottles you see tonight, with the exception of Matt's pick, these all come from my road trip from Sunday and Monday to and from St. Louis. So I stopped on the way home from St. Louis and snagged a few bottles that I thought would be good for the live stream and good for the channel to do reviews on. So 1843 starts it. We'll do a little scotch right after that, okay? And that is going to be an American... Sorry, I said scotch. It's going to be an American single malt. This is the Alternate Takes 4 whiskey, 86 proof, sample that Dogfish Head sent me. So that's interesting. We'll get into that. Then, it's kind of dealer's choice at that point. We have Hard Truth Batch 1. This is less important to me tonight, but we might get into it. We do have this Redwood Cask Strength Pipe Dream. All right, so that's going to be kind of a big one, in my opinion. I've heard good things about that. And the rye, the Lost Monarch, seems to not be such a favorite. The real star of the show, besides Matt's pick, is this. Let's get that focus going here. Let's go. Come on. Come on, camera. We got it. There you go. Peerless High Rye Bourbon, 110.6 proof, 5.5 to 6 years old. At least twice the rye content they're saying of their regular bourbon. The color, look how incredibly dark that stuff is. Still strictly sweet mash. We have a 42-year single cask strength Armagnac from Delord, 1979 distillation. And last but not least, certainly not least, there it is. Friday the 13th. Jack Daniel's Single Barrel Matt Porter pick. Tonight's sample giveaway, 2 winners, 1 ounce of each. You're going to get all these over here, the Hard Truth, the Redwood, and Hard Truth, Redwood, and the Peerless. You're going to get Matt's pick. I can throw in the 1843, you know. It's a little average, but that's cool. 42-year Armagnac. And the 2 that I forgot about. Sorry about that. The 2 Ohio state picks that I worked on with Middle West Spirits back in September that just hit shelves. A bourbon, a 4-grain bourbon, and the dark pumpernickel rye. These are pretty solid. They're not, they're not A-plus whiskey, but they are really good whiskey. All right, from a craft distillery that has now moved to 53-gallon barrels. There's going to be growing pains in doing that, especially single barrel. You can't blend in some of the old 30-gallon stuff to make up for it. So, got to be patient a few more years with this stuff. But these are pretty solid picks that we were able to select with the state of Ohio for Middle West Spirits. So those are the 8 pours in tonight's sample giveaway. Again, 2 winners. And that's it. Nancy, mash bill in the 1843 is undisclosed because it is sourced, I would imagine, but I want to say the actual mash bill, the Heaven Hill wheated mash bill is 68 corn, 20 wheat, 12 barley, and someone can totally correct me if I'm wrong on that. Heaven Hill wheated mash bill, I'll look it up very quickly. It would be not the Bernheim, but it would be the Larceny mash bill. So let me just look that up. I would imagine that what they're sourcing out, 68 2012. So if that's the same stuff that they're sourcing in this 1843, then that would be it. Cool. Brandon Lincoln says Middle West reminds me of another brand. What's that? What brand would that be, Brandon? And if you're kind of being, if you're poking the bear or being a little sarcastic, I actually don't know what you're talking about. So help me out. Jay, thank you for the $10 super chat, man. Cheers to you. So let's get into it. We got 75 in the chat. Oh, High West. Well, yeah, I guess, but the products are not at all alike. But I see what you mean. Hit that like button and let's get into it here, starting with the David Nicholson 1843, 100 proof. It's not considered bottled in bond, so there could be different ages blended in here, but it's at least 4 years old because it does not state that it is younger than that, and it is considered a straight bourbon whiskey. Lux Row, presumed to be sourced from Heaven Hill. So let's get into this. This will be the most basic pour of the night. Although, to me, this thing smells great right off the bat. I'm coming off of the Magnus Batch 73, which is going to be hard to beat all night. But this thing comes off nice and sweet. You can tell it's a wheated bourbon. Good honey notes. Honey, brown butter. Yes, you can smell some youth in there, some youthful, spicy graininess. But I like the fact that it's soft. It maintains a little bit of oak. Even with the young age, it manages to pull out some oak notes. It's simplistic but nice. And I haven't tried this next to Larceny. I might end up pulling the Green River Wheated very quickly to try it next to the David Nicholson. I think that's actually a good comparison. But let's try this on the palate first. Yeah, chocolate. You know, to me, this is the honey brown butter, youthful graininess comes off on the nose, or comes off on the palate just like on the nose. But a little bit of milk chocolate on the palate too, which is nice. Keeps it sweet. Adds a darker component, so it's not all bright, young grain notes. Maybe even a little bit of a white chocolate note to this. And still, even without rye, a great spice presence on the palate. I feel like the David Nicholson 1843, I think I paid $27 for this. And there's a lot of really terrible $25 to $30 whiskey on the shelf. I think this is a standout in the price range and in the category, frankly. Like, we're talking everyday wheated bourbons. There aren't that many of those, which is why I think I'm going to grab that Green River wheated right now and do a quick side-by-side. Already at the beginning of the stream, we're going to get into the weeds on this one, but I think it's worth it because there is a lot of hype right now around the Green River wheated. And the 1843 is more of a tried and true offering that people know. So let's see what that's like side by side. T. Jarrett, cheers, Cam. Cheers to you, man. Thanks for being here. Amy, I don't think I've had the reserve, but for the price, I mean, this is really nice stuff. It is rough around the edges, but at $27, I'm willing to accept that. For instance, if you put this next to a Buffalo Trace, which is going to be sweeter, much less of a finish, maybe a little darker in the profile regarding like candied dark fruits. We tend to get those grape notes. If you put this next to a Buffalo Trace, the trade-off is that this gives you more presence, body, spice coming from the proof, and I just think from the distillery itself that it's coming from, which would presumably be Heaven Hill. The Buffalo Trace is going to be sweeter, lighter, more approachable, a little darker in terms of the actual profile. So it's like at that $25 to $27 price point, there is a trade-off either way you go, and it just depends on what you value the most. You're not going to get both of those in that price range, I don't think. You're going to have to make that trade-off. So let's see. Let's snag this Green River Wheated, which is coming in at 90 proof. So we're down 10 proof points. Keep that in mind as I do this comparison. It's going to have an impact for sure. And this is coming, obviously, from Green River. I'm not sure if that mash bill is disclosed, but let's see. If it is, I believe it's 70% corn, 21 wheat, 9 malted barley. But let's see. Green River Wheated mash bill. That's it. 70 corn, 21 rye, 9 barley. It's 2 and 6 row barley, and it's... What are the other specifications? It just says corn, 21% winter rye. Okay. So these are very, very close. 68 to 70 corn, 20 to 21 wheat, and then 9 versus 12% barley. So very, very close in the mash bills. Interesting. Let me check the chat. Brandon says, do it. We just did Green River Wheated on our channel. Interested to hear your thoughts. I'll tell you right now, Brandon, I have tasted this on a stream before. I love the Green River Wheated. I think at the price point and the fact that this is sitting on shelves right now, it's hopefully only going to get older. I hope. I hope this product gets 2 to 3 years older in the blends as we, move forward a few years. And if that would be the case, it's going to be a force to be reckoned with in the industry. Paul P. wasn't a fan of the Green River Wheat, but if you said it's the Larceny mash bill, how's it rate to small batch Larceny? So, Paul, Green River is not going to be the Larceny mash bill. The David Nicholson 1843 probably is, because I believe it's the weeded Heaven Hill bourbon being sourced there from Lux Row. My Larceny small batch is buried in my basement somewhere, so I can't. I'm not going to go grab that one tonight. But I would say Green River Weeded to me is going to be better than that Larceny. Yeah, Nancy, there's 2 and 6-row barley in the 9% barley blend in the Green River Weeded. All right, so let's try this Green River Weeded next to the David Nicholson 1843. David Nicholson is sweeter. Or sorry, excuse me, the Green River is sweeter than the David Nicholson. It's sweeter. Part of that could come from the additional water in here, so it's a little lighter on the palate. Although it still maintains good spice, even at 90 proof. A similar brown butter note going on in the Green River Weeded. So I think that's where these things are comparable. But the Green River has something in there that's a little more earthy. Kind of like soil or moss, maybe. Yeah, it's a little more damp earth. Some people might say petrichor. I don't think it's quite there, but a little more earthiness in the Green River Weeded. Whereas the Nicholson feels fresher and more lively. So there you go. Like, if you're a person that really likes the Bardstown Origin Bottled and Bond Weeder, which is the dark label, the black label from the Origin series, you're going to like that David Nicholson. For me, I actually like the Green River Weeded more than I like the Origin series Bardstown. And in this case, same result. I like the Green River Weeded a little bit more than the David Nicholson because it feels more mature, slightly darker, coming from that earthy note. And it's just more sippable, you know? The Nicholson has some more rough edges than the Green River does. But I don't think you can go wrong with either one at this price point. Oh, Paul was asking Nicholson to Larceny. I see. The Green River was all green cut grass. Interesting, man. And when I'm saying, I'm talking about mossy earthiness, I think I know what you're talking about. To me, when I get fresh cut grass, it's a little bit brighter than what I'm getting off of this. But your point, I take your point on that. I understand what you mean. But I like that in the case of this Green River Weeded. And I think the Green River Weeded, again, give it 4 more years in the barrel. Could be very interesting. But all of these are both, in my mind, these are the value weeders that I would go to. I don't like the Bardstown Origin. I think it's too lemon oil, too sharp, too young feeling. Gasoline. Ethanol. And I think that Larceny is good, but it's not a standout in the category for me. I think these are the standouts. Matt says, do you get a grapefruit note on the back of the Green River? If I had to pick out a fruit that you're talking about on the nose right now, I would say like watermelon, if anything. But I see what you mean, but let's try it on the palate again. It's almost got that, Matt, the Redbreast 21 grapefruit note. It almost has the Redbreast 21 grapefruit note to it, which is a good note for me, actually. I like that. Keith, the Nicholson Reserve has a green tree branch note I didn't care for, but also some traditional notes I liked a lot for the price. I think that's a common thread. There you go, man. Matt says, reminds me of a Redbreast grapefruit. Exactly, dude. Exactly. I'm with you. It's kind of cool, though, that it's imitating a grapefruit note from a 21-year-old Irish whiskey. Like, I'll take that. Keith, I think this is a theme now between these young weeders, which is like this kind of fresh, earthy thing. And that's why I generally say that I think wheated bourbons need more time in the barrel than rye-based bourbons. There we go, Zach Butler, Cam nailing it hardcore. Matt, I don't know if it's pot stilled. That's a really good question. I want to say no. Does anybody in the chat know? I'll look it up very quickly. Green River column or pot still. I think it's column. I think it's column distillate. Oh, initially bourbon. Oh no, this is talking about history, the history of it. I think it's a column still. So Nancy's talking about 2 versus 6 row barley, which is something I wish I knew more about. 6 row doesn't have as good of a yield as 2 row, but it's very interesting nonetheless. Nancy, what are the flavor differences from your perspective? We use that for Comet, I can't remember how you say that. Comet single malt whiskey, and Kurukshetra India, which I originally blended. And I remember that. That's one of those samples I ended up giving to a buddy of mine because I really thought he would enjoy them. Frank, if you're watching, I'm not sure if you've tried that one yet, but I really enjoyed this one. Yeah, now I'd be surprised too if it was pot still. Yeah, needs a little longer time. Actually, William Molnar, I think on proof, wheateds do better watered down because it takes away some of those edges, at least in the young age. When they get older, it's a different story, but I think that's why I like the Green River at the young age, because it takes away the rough edges of the Nicholson, and especially the Bardstown Origin, which I think is too rough. So, all right, but either way, David Nicholson, $25 to $27. This is a pickup. This is a pickup everyday sipper for sure. I might have to take the jacket off, guys. It is hot. This room does not get good air to it, so we're gonna go a little skimpier on the outfit tonight. Okay, there we go. Zach, the White Label Origin, I'm not going to taste it right now because I have too much to get through, but I love it. To me, it's a highly recommend. $45, incredible. It mimics MGP for me, but in a little bit of a sweeter, fruitier way at that age. I love it. Can't say enough good things about it. Didn't do that. Whoopsie daisy. Can't say enough good things about the White Label Origin series while I mop up the mess that I just made. All right. Good thing I have Apple Care Plus on the phone. Have the phone sitting over there and a few Venmo notifications that have come through. So let me get to those Venmo super chats here, guys. And what did I end up spilling? Well, of course, it was the Batch 73 cigar blend. I'm sorry, Nancy. It smells good, though. Nancy coming in with some knowledge here. Absolutely right. Wheat needs more maturation time. Easier to distill, unlike rye, but takes a lot of maturation. Rye is the opposite. Hard to distill. Comes online much sooner. That's a great... I'm just going to copy and paste that definition whenever I talk about this now. That's the most succinct way of putting that. Coming online sooner. I love that comparison. Or that metaphor. Aiden could use two buttons less with this white t-shirt atrocity underneath it. Not great. I did not expect to be streaming in this outfit tonight. So, all right. Next up, let's do a quick tasting. I was really thankful that Dogfish Head reached out to me because when I was into beer from probably 2017 to about 2020, so I probably did 3 to 4 years of really drinking a lot of stouts, I wasn't nerdy about beer the way that I'm nerdy about whiskey. Like I wasn't ever tasting them and thinking about tasting notes. I just thought good or bad. So I was really into KBS, CBS, Bozo beer, Willetized, like some of that kind of stuff at the time. But also on the IPA side, I liked really big, like triple IPAs or, double, triple IPAs. I liked hazy stuff, Imperial IPAs, this kind of thing. So Dogfish Head 120-minute IPA was like, I had that on hand. I had cases of that on hand, cases, 4-packs, whatever. Always ready to go because I thought it was so good. So for Dogfish Head to reach out to me, I thought was, for me, it was a really nice moment. Even though, it might not seem that cool to you guys. But this is 86 proof. I want to do this. Jay, how did you get beer at 14? T. Jared, I love when Nancy is on with her experience and knowledge. I also love that. 8 and 120 minute is a big beer. Yeah, it is. And that's what I was into, though, man. I was really into, ABV wise, it had to be 8% plus. But 12% was like a sweet spot for me with beer. Which kind of makes sense, going from there to whiskey. The transition was pretty easy, pretty seamless in terms of mouthfeel and just big profiles. So I have an email about this, and I want to pull it up because I want to do this thing justice. So Dogfish Head. All right, here we go. So Megan is the person that sent this to me. And here we go. Let me read this out. I'm excited to share with you the news about Dogfish Head's newest limited edition whiskey, Alternate Takes Volume 4, whiskey finished in Utopia's barrels and Oloroso sherry barrels. Celebrating the intersection of fine beer and fine spirits, Alternate Takes 4 features Dogfish Head's American single malt whiskey finished in 74% Utopia's barrels from Samuel Adams and 26% Oloroso sherry barrels. The resulting libation boosts complex notes of dried fruit, cedar wood, and a slight nuttiness. I don't want to read too much of that. This new offering is part of Dogfish Head's Alternate Takes whiskey series, a lineup of premium drams. I love they said drams. Inspired by the analog age of music, when artists would record take after take to experiment with alternate sounds until a great record emerged. I love this. Dogfish Head's Alternate Takes whiskeys embrace that same spirit of iteration and experimentation to create harmonious, one-of-a-kind drinking. That's all marketing gobbledygook. But the thing about music I like. And then they offered to send a sample, which is great. So let's do it. Wow. Different. Very different. Casey, it wasn't much of a... I would drink Hop Slam. I didn't keep it on hand. Tom Gregson, thanks for asking, man. How did it go hosting the whiskey tasting? It was okay. The actual organizational part of it was a little bit rough. So some of the guests that were there weren't sure that they should go into this other room and do the tasting at a particular time. It wasn't clear. So I ended up getting up to the mic. I was able to make a short announcement. Had some more people join us in the room. At the time that it happened, I ended up only having about 18 to 20 minutes to do this tasting, and it was kind of fly-by-night. At that point, it was more about entertainment. Everybody gets one dram in their hands. Some people were able to get 2 if they were quick about it. We had one bartender helping. She had to take money. It wasn't a free thing. So the logistics weren't great, but I felt like in that 20 minutes, instead of focusing too much on the really nitty-gritty nuances of the whiskeys that people had in their glasses, which were 5 or 6 different whiskeys, I tried to be more general about it, talk about nosing and tasting, the art of whiskey, the art of distillation, just basic stuff, and then do my best to kind of do crowd work and talk to people individually and just hit things here and there. So it was okay. It was a really good learning experience for me, though. All right, so let's get into this Dogfish Head. Coming in on Venmo, Amy, this is for you. We've got Keith Thompson in for 4. So 20 from Keith Thompson in for 4. Thank you, Keith. I appreciate that, man. He just says entry, so I appreciate that. William Molnar in for 5, Amy, for 25. Cheers, popping Maddie's pick with you tonight. Awesome. So we'll get into that. It's going to be a little later, but we're going to get there. So 4 for Keith Thompson, Amy, and 5 for William Molnar. So here's what I'm going to say about this Dogfish Head. I really, really like the nose. Most American single malts that I've had recently, and I haven't tried a lot of the heavy hitters that people like. I've been trying some of the basic stuff. A lot of them come across extremely grainy, overly malty sweet, young malty sweetness, not aged profiles. They just taste rushed to me. This has a very sour fruit note to it. It almost smells like a sour beer. Yeah, it actually kind of has that smell of a sour beer. It smells yeasty like a sour beer. And that makes me curious. Because would that be Brett? Like when we're talking Brettanomyces from wine, would they use Brett in the fermentation of a single malt? It's interesting. I don't know. But it's got this yeasty, slightly vinegar note on the nose. Like really sour, really tangy on the nose. Dark fruits. There's lime in here, which makes it tangy, but the darker fruit note is more of a raisin. Like a raisin or yeah, some kind of dry, dark, tangy fruit. This is interesting. Yeah, that's Wilmo 18, Amy. Okay. Palate, a little cough syrup. A little Robitussin. So, yeah. Ooh. God, the nose on this was extremely promising. The palate goes too tangy. Very dry, actually. Tangy and dry, but I like the nose on this. It's a different take on, well, alternate takes for, there you go. It is a different take on American single malt, I think. There's something going on here with the yeast. There has to be. There's something yeasty about this that's weird. 21090 says you could, but it would taste like wet hay. That's interesting. See, I don't know enough about yeast strains, but this has to have something to do with it. Nancy, the oak profile. Yes, it is acetic acid, Nancy. 100%. I believe that that's what this is. I've had wine that has had that volatile acidity to it. That's what this reminds me of. So what would that come from your experience, Nancy, in the distillation? Aiden, this was pretty full when I just poured it, but I have had one pour of this a couple weeks ago, so it's been open for a few weeks, and I don't know what else I was going to say. It's so weird. It's a very, very strange whiskey. Oh, Nancy, it's 3/4 of this in Sam Adams Utopias barrels, which I've never had the Utopias stuff, so I can't speak to it. I know it's really intense, aged, high-proof beer. And then that's 3/4, and then 1/4 of it is finished in Oloroso sherry, which that does come through. The Utopias thing, like, if that's what this weird thing is in here, that makes sense to me, but I just I haven't tasted that to know how to pinpoint this note that I'm getting. It's different. It is expensive, isn't it? Yeah, Todd, I've never had it, man. So the nose on this one is like a 6.5 out of 10. just given the well, let's give it a 7 out of 10. Given the category, American single malt, it's definitely different. I would say the nose is like a 7 out of 10. With a plus or minus like 1 point swing, just given the subjectivity of how different it is. But the palate to me, like a 4.5 or a 5 out of 10. It just doesn't work. It's too dry, too tangy. So that's a little sad for me. I think it's worth doing a full review of this thing, possibly because there's a lot going on in it, more than I want to get into tonight. Interesting nonetheless. So I don't really know the legal requirements of American single malt. I would imagine it has to be. Nancy, do you know? Do you know what American single malt legal requirements are? Like, does it have to be 100%? Like, let's say, for instance, 2 or 6 row barley. Like, could you have a blend of those, or would it have to be 100% 2 row barley in the mash bill? Oh, American single malt only needs to be 51%. Interesting. That's what Aiden thinks, but he's asking Nancy for clarification. James, I did not know that the new Woodford batch proof was out, so I do not have a bottle yet. And I like the last one. I thought, tasted it with Sarah. We kind of agreed it tasted like an old-fashioned, in bourbon form. Really nice. Okay. Let's go into something else now. Let's get a little crafty. Let's go to Redwood Empire. Redwood Empire. Cask strength. I know we can do this, camera. We can do this together. Pipe Dream cask strength. This is distilled in California, Indiana, and Kentucky. So I'm going to imagine that we're talking about their own distillate, primarily, MGP in the mix, and somewhere in Kentucky that's, going to source out whiskey to these guys. That could be a lot of places, But the bottle is beautiful. I love the dark labels. It's 116.8 proof. I think that's Rare Breeds proof, so it's something that we're all pretty familiar with. It does have the mash bill here. I'm not sure if that's legible for all of you out there, but it's 74% corn, 20% rye, 4.5% malted barley, so we're getting into decimals, 1.5% wheat. So it is a 4 grain with a negligible amount of wheat in there. And a squeaky cork to boot. All right. Let's try this thing. Nancy says volatile acidity, or VA, could come from poor fermentation, specifically Acetobacter. Perhaps the yeast are too stressed. It's common in wine and brandy, but I definitely find it in whiskey too. Yeah, it's interesting. I don't know, but it comes from poor fermentation. Okay. Huh. What's up, Trev? I miss you, dude. We should stream together sometime. James Farley, 124.7 on the new Woodford batch proof, but they went to 700 mil, and they upped the price. Come on. Paul says it looks like American single malt is in the proposal phase still, but it's being proposed as 100% malted barley. That's good. It should be. Glad to see you wearing regular pants compared to those spandex jeans from that picture you showed us a while back. Hey, man, take it easy on my jeans. I need to lose a few lbs and get some new jeans. Trev's so drunk he can't even finish his own sentence. So he's talking smack about my Mozarting, but he can't even get to the end of the sentence. So I don't know, man. Okay. Very interesting. And now Trev admits that he is drunk. So Jay, I thought the infinity bottle idea last time was a little clunky, but I have thought about it. I have thought about trying something like that again. Tommy D, what's up, man? Stopping in to say hi. Thumbs up, people. Yeah, guys, please hit that like button. That would be awesome. Snuggy boy brand, says Jeb. Oh, my God. Okay, let's do this Redwood Empire. I tasted this yesterday on Patreon. Not going to spoil anything. But let's try it. All right, so I am a few additional drinks deep, let's say, tonight than I was last night when I tasted this. And we'll go ahead and spoil it. Last night, I thought that this Redwood Pipe Dream cask strength, I thought it felt a little alcoholic, a little hot, a little closed off, actually, just in general. Like, it feels like it needs water or ice, something to break it up, bring the flavors out a little bit more. It's just, it stings the nostrils at only 116.8 proof. A little bit of nutty craftiness going on in here. Nutty Kentucky bourbon almost as well. But also there's this cinnamon note, this prevailing cinnamon spiciness that reminds me a lot of 21% rye MGP bourbon. I didn't say this yesterday, but I think this has a wild turkey note to it. I mentioned rare breed. It's the same proof as rare breed. I don't think it's the power of suggestion because I said that last night too on Patreon. I think this has a wild turkey note to it. In the nuttiness, it's the same style of nuttiness. It's not that overt Jim Beam dry peanut. It's not the peanut butter Heaven Hill note. It's like that wild turkey nut. So it reminds me of that. I like it more right now than I did last night. I'll say that. It's not great whiskey, but it's like 7 out of 10 whiskey. It's fine, you know? Here we go. We got some, let's see. Let me scroll back up here. Trev says, my problem is it feels so good outside. I continue watching baseball games all night and continue to drink. It's a terribly great habit, I guess. Yeah, Trev, unfortunately, I only have this one. I don't have the rye. I don't have the Lost Monarch. Across the board, it feels to me like the Lost Monarch people are not a big fan of, but it feels like this one and the rye, they're kind of back and forth. They like them more. David L., thank you for the $10 super chat, man. Prefer the Redwood Empire Emerald Giant cask, there you go, to the Pipe Dream of the Lost Monarch. Cheers. Thanks for the super chat, man. I wish I had the other ones to try, but I felt lucky finding this on a shelf at SRP out of state. It felt nice to find something, you know, sitting there. It's hot, it's young. It honestly, that heavy cinnamon note that I'm getting from this could also, I think there's MGP in here. I think it's coming from that. This could also have, I'm trying to micro-analyze the blend, and I shouldn't do that. But if I had to guess what it is from Kentucky, there could be Willet in here. It has a little bit of that Willet, that nuttiness and that cinnamon, which come from Willet, and also the cinnamon would come from Wild Turkey and the nuttiness as well. So I don't know what is actually in this blend. I wish we did have that transparency. But I would believe that Wild Turkey or Willet could be in this blend. And here we go. Norseman's Only Drams says Emerald Giant cast strength is the one. Trev, my thoughts on them narrowed down in a single comment. We love the original low proofers. I think all of them are great. Pipe Dream is the least impressive. The other two are amazing, and Lost Monarch is just the most crushable thing. We thought the cast strength, yeah, it's not quite there. Nancy says, notice number 213 published in the Federal Register is a proposal for the Federal Standard of Identity for American Single Malt Whiskey. Check it out. That's awesome. Somebody please check that out right now. Tell me what it says. Brandon, you're right, man. That hit of finding something on the shelf. The store that I went to, Southern Illinois, Effingham, Illinois. It was like Christmas morning. David L., I would happily take the samples, man, because I'm really interested in these. I always feel bad accepting samples from people, but if you want to send them my way, shoot me an email so I remember after the stream, drumsanddrams@gmail.com, and we can make that happen. And I thank you for offering that. Yeah, Casey, A1 Liquors. Yep. I have their Elijah Craig pick back there. So last weekend, I drove to St. Louis on Sunday, drove back on Monday. On my way back, I stopped at A1 and a few places in Indiana also. And I didn't realize A1 is where Dusty Dan does his picks. Not Dusty Dan, excuse me. Lance, Whiskey Tornado. I did not realize that that's where Lance does his picks and runs it through those guys. And he's really good friends with the store, so. Amy, Cam, love you much, but no amount of money makes it worthwhile to read the Federal Registry. Tell that to Nancy. She's the one who posted it. Last thing I'm going to say. What Redwood Empire Pipe Dream reminds me of, cast strength, it reminds me of a barrel blend. Whenever you see barrel blends, not the ones that say 10 or 11 years old, where the youngest thing in the blend is the George Dickel, probably, that they're sourcing. But the stuff that's 5 or 6 year age stated, where the youngest thing in the blend is most likely MGP, those barrel blends, this really resembles those. It has a little bit of that tropical fruit, pineapple, mango kind of note that you get from those barrel blends. It has the really heavy cinnamon, that youth. I think a lot of those barrel blends, 5 or 6 year age stated, even though there's older stuff in those blends, they just feel way young and way sharp. This reminds me of barrel. And that's kind of why I don't like it. I think it's fine whiskey. All of barrel is fine whiskey. Couple standouts. In fact, the $500 gold label that Matt sent me in the blind from my last round of Matt Madness, if you can get over the Dickel minerality in that blend, it's a whiskey that is lights out. It's a top whiskey. It's so good, but it's just that Dickel minerality in there that holds it back, which is a big problem. But I think a lot of barrel is just average whiskey, with a price tag at $90 that far exceeds more than twice the quality of the whiskey on the price tag, 85% of the time. We have 95 in here right now, so thank you all for hanging out tonight, for jumping back in as I have taken a few weeks off. If you would not mind hitting that like button, I would greatly appreciate it. We're about an hour into the stream. We've probably got, realistically, another hour to go, if not a little more. We're doing a giveaway tonight. You can see the details scrolling at the bottom. It's a sample pack of all of the whiskeys I'm going to taste this evening. Some I might not get to, but they're still going to be in the sample pack. So let's talk about it real quick. The 2 Ohio State picks of Middle West Spirits, Dark Pumpernickel Rye, 4-grain bourbon. I was part of the picking team that did these last September. They just hit shelves. You'll get samples of those. Hard Truth Rye Batch 1, my favorite batch that I've had. This, which we're going to get to in just a little bit, Peerless High Rye, incredible bourbon. We will get there. The Redwood Empire I just tried, which I said was good, not great. Matt Porter's Jack Daniel's Single Barrel Proof Pick ADHD whiskey that came in today. A 42-year single cask strength Armagnac, 47.8% ABV. And last but not least, I tasted it earlier, David Nicholson 1843. It's going to be in the flight. Like it or not. Oh, shit. Nancy says that the proposal allows for coloring, flavoring, and blending materials. And she posted it back here. There. Distilled entirely at one U.S. distillery. Good. Mash distilled aged in U.S. Good. Sourced from fermented mash of 100% barley. Good. Distilled at 160 or less. Good. Stored in oak barrels not exceeding 700 liters. Good. But then also allowing coloring and what else did she say? Flavoring and yeah, get that shit out of here. No, that sucks. Come on. Yeah, I mean, I guess Scotch does allow coloring, but my God, look, I mean, we have straight bourbon whiskey, which is so strict. Let's adopt the strict rules for American single malt. I mean, it's such a new category. No one's going to go to American single malt the same way they're going to go to Scotch and think like, oh, this is not dark enough for me, or not. It's cloudy. Oh my God. You know, I think that attitude of just looking through the bottle and making judgment calls is going to be a little bit different from American single malt to a traditional Scotch drinker. I could be wrong, but I don't know. Yeah, I'm with you, Trev. I am with you on this. And Matt, I love that comment. Nimrax, cheers, Cam. Been forever since I caught it live. Good to see you, man. Thanks for jumping in. And Aiden, I'm with you, man. The finishes from barrel or stellum are the only ones. That's what I tend to go to as well, because it's a novel thing. Matt says, haven't you heard average whiskey is $90 now? Oh, I've heard. My wallet also has heard. Joe, to me, man, it's an integrity thing. It's just an integrity thing. I don't know. And plus, do we really know if color affects the taste? We would have to taste it colored and uncolored next to each other, or taste the coloring alone. I'm not inclined to believe it has no effect. You put something in something, I'm inclined to believe there's some difference. However negligible, however small. However neutral. I mean, it could be so slight, but it's just an integrity thing to me. Can't taste integrity. No, but you can read it on the label and make a judgment call ahead of time. So, yeah, I guess Aiden's right. It feels kind of icky. All right. Let's get out of this Redwood Empire tasting. Let me clean up very quickly. Let me do a quick organization. 97 in here. Hit that like on the way in. Check out tonight's giveaway. Samples of everything I taste this evening. Some really cool stuff in there. Some different stuff, too. Got to save that one. That's the Magna Cigar Blend. Okay. And unfortunately, I cannot include the Dogfish Head in the giveaway tonight because I would actually run out of that. And I need to save the rest of that sample. Okay. What are we going to do next? What do you guys think? Let's do a little Ohio love. Quick little Ohio segment. You guys know I love Middle West, and I'm happy to have helped pick these barrels. So let's taste these very quickly. So for any Ohio people in here, this really, really is going to matter to you if you find these on the shelf. These barrels, only one of each. So there's not a lot to go around, but these will be in the giveaway tonight. And Middle West Spirits is just one of my favorite companies. I love everybody over there. They've been so good to me, so supportive, and they're just good people. James, yeah, I'm cleaned up tonight from what I was doing earlier. Trev's just jealous, dude. Come on. He's just jealous. So Nancy says, good. Thank you, Nancy, because I need to hear this. Because here I am talking smack. Good quality caramel additives such as Sethness don't really have a taste or very minimal. Trev, I've tried barrel picks of all the finished stuff. So, I mean, they're all single barrels. I think when they're cask strength, I think they're all single barrels. And they all felt over-finished to me, except, strangely enough, the wheat whiskey, barrel-proof wheat whiskey finished in Oloroso sherry, which sounds like the one I would like the least, was the one that was not blown out of the water by the finish. I thought it was incredible. The port-finished pumpernickel rye, way dry, way too dark and dry. And then the sherry-finished bourbon that everybody goes crazy over, I just felt like it was over-finished, but it was a barrel pick, so I just wish I could try the other ones. So, to that point, I can't recommend it on my experience, but everybody else loves it, so I don't know. All right, very quickly, let's go through this. The rye that we selected, this was not in my top 2 ryes. They asked us for our top 2. They only ended up picking 1 barrel for the state because they wanted to drive demand. It pissed me off. We tasted 6 ryes that... Look, I'm excessively grateful to have been on this pick with Ohio Liquor. They did not invite me on the pick. Middle West Spirits, the distillery, invited me on the pick. So I don't have any allegiance to Ohio Liquor. And in fact, I think there's a lot of strange things that go on there. But I'm pretty neutral. But in this case, Ohio Liquor, we tasted 6 ryes, 2 bourbons. So we tasted 8 whiskeys, which is a lot to taste on a barrel pick. And we had some fat pours, I'll tell you that much. They asked us for our top bourbon and at least our top 2 ryes. I thought they were going to pick at least 3 barrels for the state, if not 4 barrels. Because these Middle West picks don't last. They only took 1 of each, apparently. So this rye was not in my top 2, but the bourbon was nearly unanimous, this one. The other bourbon that was being picked, what's crazy... Why not do this comparison? You know, why not? I have a sample of this bourbon barrel that we picked. I have a sample of it like 6 months before it was bottled. So it's only a 6-month difference, but this is probably only 4-year whiskey. So that's kind of interesting. And the proof point, the proof points are even different from sample to bottle. Yeah, by half a proof point. But it's the exact same barrel. Bourbon was pretty much unanimous. The other one that we tasted of the 2 was a little bit more like a Young Buffalo Trace product, like Young Honey. And then the ryes were very different, all over the place. The 2 that I selected, which I still have samples of, the tasting was in September. One of them was extremely high proof and hot, but good vanilla. And then the other one I felt was just like a really nice balanced rye. The one that we picked tastes like orange tea. Very orange forward. I didn't feel like it was the strongest rye because I felt like on the palate, it dropped off really quickly. The flavors were nice. Subjectively, I liked them, but I felt like the actual drinking experience lacked compared to what I thought was the more balanced rye. But that's what they ended up picking by unanimous, or not unanimous, but by, let's call it a split decision. So let's taste the rye first. Matt, this is not the one that you had, no. T. Jarrett is bringing Middle West Sherry finished to Pours in the Park. Awesome. More people need to try their stuff. This is the most underrated distillery. I think top 5 most underrated distilleries in the country that I've had. Criminally underrated. Especially the stuff that they put out on their 30-gallon barrels. They're one of the only distilleries that I can think of that actually managed to handle small barrels and not get that craft whiskey note on their stuff. Norseman's Only Drams ask about the Shure SM7B, the mic I'm using. Is it worth every penny? It's fine. It's a fine mic. You have to, like, I'm running this through a channel strip right now, and I'm EQing it just a little bit. I've got a slight noise gate on it, slight compression. This mic really needs a lot of work in post to make it sing, but it's a great mic for rejection, for very flat sound, very radio sound. But it needs a lot of work in post. If you want something a little bit more maybe dynamic, you need to go to some different stuff. What's the one that everybody uses? Is it the Rodecaster? I'm not like the biggest audio guy. No, not Rodecaster. That's the system I'm thinking of. That's the little Rode podcast system. What is it? The common radio mics. I'm gonna be pissed when I find out the name of this mic. Oh, the RE20. I thought R in my head and I said Rodecaster. The Electro Voice RE20, I think is a pretty decent mic for this kind of application. And there's another one too, I thought. But I think either way, they just need a lot of work in post. Nancy, I think they were, but I can't say for certain. Hellstorm says, I think Chattanooga's underrated. I got a little tired of Chattanooga, but I agree that for the right person, it's going to be really underrated. So Nancy was talking about this kind of blending component. What did she call it? Some sort of tea earlier. Let me go back and find it. For example, some artisanal cognac use Boisé, which is essentially a fortified oak tea that can be aged 100 years or more. And then she says here, nope, not there. Let's go up. Boom. Meant to add that Boise has an accent on the E. So Boise, I don't know. Such as in the 25 to 100 year range, absolutely delicious, just a blending tool, but very good by itself. So is that similar to you sent me that really old sample, Nancy. What did you call it? The Blantons. You had like 13-year-old watered down Blantons, which is, I believe you said that it's when you added the whiskey to the water instead of the water to the whiskey, and then you had it in an oak barrel, using that as a blending component for the Michigan only batch. What did you call that? I am going, Boisé. So we're talking, okay. I am going to Pours in the Park this year. Just started using the Samson Q9U coming from the Blue Yeti. Why can't I say that? And I like it, but still tweaking on it. Yeah. To me, I check this out. So I'm going live, so I have to run through something that can process this live. You know, I could run into a mixer, have some EQ on the mixer, run that into an interface, run that into my computer. I'm going to deal with some latency at that point. Not a big issue. There are certain programs you can run to adjust the latency, audio to video, if I'm doing that. But I don't want to have the mixer. So I have the Behringer Ultra Voice UV1. It's a channel strip and interface combined. And it is a fantastic thing to run into. It goes direct to the computer, and it can add a little compression, a little EQ, de-esser. What else we got down there? Noise gate. It's great. All right. Very quickly, Middle West Spirits, the rye pick for the state of Ohio, 122.8 proof. Confectionery vanilla sweetness. Orange tea all the way. Almost smells like a key lime pie, but not lime. It's like key lime pie, but orange version. Big palate, and it falls off. takes a dive on the back end, and that's exactly why I didn't want to pick this barrel. I think everybody else liked it because it's got a good sweetness and a really nice orange component. It's got that fruitiness to it. A bit of licorice, a bit of anise in there. Some tobacco. So it's a very interesting rye in terms of its profile. To me, it feels like this rye needs to be blended. It needs to go into a very small batch blend, take advantage of the flavor notes in here, but let's try to boost up the finish on the rye. And to me, it's like, I think Middle West, I've talked to them about it before, and I've suggested, maybe on some of your barrel picks, you actually do small batch blends, like half a barrel of this, half a barrel of that, etc. And let's work out some blends. I know that becomes dicey for companies like that because you run into the logistics of how to manage that at scale. But this is really a nice rye. Fantastic rye until you get to the finish, and the finish falls off. So I feel good about my evaluation of this, that I still remember it, 8 months later. Oh, petite. Oh, okay, that's right. Fortified water, aged for a long time, used instead of regular water for reduction. That's what it was. JG, so the Middle West that I would have sent you, Jay, would be from the 30-gallon barrels. So we're talking something much darker, much more intense. Some of my favorite whiskey, actually. Just awesome. And Jay, if that sample has a barrel number, put it in the chat. I'm curious. All right, reminder real quick about tonight's giveaway. We have 93 in here still. Please hit that like button. Thank you for being here. Everything I drink tonight, except for this small sample of Dogfish Head, 8 samples in total. That is the sample pack that you are playing for tonight. Every $5 super chat gets you 1 entry. Amy Bohm in the chat is tracking, and we will do that giveaway on the screen. I will randomize it on screen. You can see the entire process play out. It will be, 100% transparent. All right. Now, onto the bourbon we picked. Keep in mind, I mentioned that, you guys have heard me say this ad nauseum on the channel, that Middle West Spirits moved from 30-gallon to 53-gallon barrels. The stuff is still pretty young at this point. It's over 4 years, I believe, but needs to get older. I think they know that. I think the feedback they're getting, they understand that, and hopefully they continue to let this stuff age. The distillery is expanding, which is fantastic. But as a rye whiskey, the ryes are going to do better at this young age. The bourbon is going to suffer. So let's go to the bourbon that we picked. Almost unanimously, I believe. And again, I have the current bottling, and then I have this old barrel sample pulled at the time that we tasted it about 8 months ago. So I'd say it's safe to assume there's about 6 months of time between these two things, or about 12.5% of this whiskey's lifespan, different between these two. So let's see what the impact is. Let's try the actual bottled version first. First thing you get is candied grape, like a Buffalo Trace product. And that's one of the things Middle West Spirits is known for, and a lot of their barrel picks. Stag Killer, E.H. Taylor Killer. People call their picks those things from Middle West because they're like improved versions of barrel-proof Buffalo Trace Mash Bill 1. But you do get a lot of ethanol in this thing. So there's a little bit of a light vanilla, light honey, and then on the other side of it, nice dark candied grape. That white cake note sometimes I get from a young whiskey. Palate super intense, but grainier than the nose. Cherry on the palate. Sweet cherry. That's nice. Goes grainy on the finish, but lingers very nicely. Much better finish than the rye. All right, and now on to the sample from 8 months prior. Significantly more mellow. It's also been in the sample bottle, been getting some air. It's very mellow. Very sweet and nice. Ooh, way grainier. The bottled version is better. The nose on the barrel sample is better, probably because it's been getting air in the sample bottle. But the palate is much younger. So 6 months, or what I would imagine is about 12.5% of the whiskey's lifespan, if it's a 4-year. That amount of difference is significant on this craft whiskey, and that's pretty cool to track from the same barrel. You don't get that chance often as a consumer. So a little bit of leather on the nose when I go back to the bottled version with that extra age. So if you're in Ohio, these are both fantastic whiskeys. And truthfully, of the new 53-gallon barrels, these are the best two that I've tried so far. Some of the rye picks early on of the 53-gallon, they were really young. New stuff is good. So there you go. Now we're going to make a Burai. You can let that sit. And clear this this glass. Keith Thompson, my pumpernickel rye is barrel 1320. Keith, I've got that exact barrel right there. Hang on one sec. Yeah. Make sure I pour that out into the right glass and not the Magnus Cigar Blend. Don't want to taint that. Okay. About 4 ounces left that I've been saving. Keith, man, pour a little bit of that and taste it with you real quick if you want. Oh, Keith, that's right, man. I sent you that one. So what do you think about it? So I forgot that I gave some of these away. Yeah, man. It's a great one. A little grassy. Yeah, a little grassy on the nose. But those smaller barrels, my God, did they make the difference in these. A little bit of aspartame, artificial sweetener in there. Oh, but it's such a big whiskey. Man. I wish they would still do some of the 30-gallon aging, you know. Oh, Jay put in the barrel number. I do not have 1659. Jay. Oh. Yeah, that's the one that I picked. So you must have won that from me also, huh? I picked that with Drew P. Whiskey and Brian Bikey. So you must have either won that from me or you bought it on Sealbox when we dropped that. Which is also a really, really good one. A little hot, but pretty darn good. Oh, yeah, you said that. You said that I sent that to you. Sorry, man. Short-term memory. It's been a long night. All right. That rye is a little bit grassy. Grassier than I remember, Keith. Oh, wow. A few more Venmo entries, Amy. Benjamin Prescott. So I don't know. Oh, right. Did Benjamin Prescott and Jason Blackburn, did either of those guys reach out to you on in here and let you know? So Norseman's only drams must be Jason Blackburn. $10 in for 2 entries. It says Nectar. Thank you, man. I appreciate you getting in there. And Benjamin Prescott in for 10, Amy. And that was 15 minutes ago. So next up, guys, we are going to get into part 1 of 2 main event tonight, the Peerless High Rye Bourbon, which I cannot wait to taste because it's a pretty cool whiskey. John Cloud, hey man, good to see you. There we go, Benjamin Prescott. I missed his comment earlier, but he says, is it bad that I'm pairing some fresh from the oven chocolate chip cookies with the Russells? No, that sounds like the right move. And I don't know what Russells it is, but any Russells with a little bit of age on it, you know, with chocolate chip cookies, that sounds like the move. Hell, Russell's 10 with chocolate chip cookies. Because the peanut butter note in that Russell's 10, man, come on. So thank you, Benjamin Prescott, for that $50 super chat, man. Thank you. That's awesome. 10 entries for you. We got you. Oh, Single Rick. I haven't had that one. I have not. That sounds like the move. I'd say you're on to something. Here we go. Take a look up close. The Peerless High Rye. High Rye Bourbon. So do not be confused. This is not a rye whiskey. It is a high rye bourbon. The label, typical Peerless label, but the color scheme, come on, we're doing a little scarlet and gray. I mean, this is Ohio State all the way, guys. This is, as Matt Porter would say, this is right up my alley and directly up my ass. That's what he would say. He would also say down the hatch. I'll say that when I take a sip of this. This is not a cheap bottle. I found this, they said they had just put this out when I stopped at that store on the way home from St. Louis, A1 Liquors. They said people have been asking for it. They didn't have it when they were asking. They got it. I just kind of happened to stumble upon this thing. $140, which is, if not MSRP, it is like $5 over MSRP. This is a very expensive bottle, given the fact that it's 5.5 to 6 year high rye bourbon from Peerless. But Peerless is known for being expensive. Of course, the sweet mash process is going to be more expensive. I don't know how much more, truthfully, from a distilling perspective, but sweet mash, not reusing any of the spent grains in your next distillation run, it's going to be more expensive. Non-chill filtered, it's barrel proof. That's what they say. No, non-chill filtered, strictly sweet mash, no water added, barrel proof. No water added and barrel proof for the same thing, but they had to fill space. Ding dong. And they also say that this is at least twice the amount of rye as they normally have in their bourbon. But I don't think those mash bills are disclosed. So here we go. Here we go, Will, OHIO. I'm just going to put that on the screen. Nimrax, not a fan of Ohio State. Well, I did not attend Ohio State, so I don't have the investment that others might have, you know, locally, let's say. All right, so I want to really, really dig into this Peerless. I also want to pull my double oaked. Might have to get down on all fours right now and dig underneath this bar cart and see if I can find the double oaked bottle that I have. Hey, one second. There we go. So I like the double oaked. I don't love it, but I really like it. Matt Porter, stop it. Stop it. Hey Matt, can I talk about tomorrow night's live stream on your channel? I haven't checked if you have a thumbnail up or not, but can we talk about that real quick? All right, guys. So tomorrow night, Matt is not doing Matt Madness. Only the finals remain. Dan Shook versus Jason. So because he's not doing Matt Madness, I'm gonna jump on Matt's stream, I think for the full time. And Matt and I are going to be, we're gonna be hanging out, but we're not gonna be hanging out in the way of like we both have the same 5 whiskeys to taste or something like that. Matt, how much should I say, dude? So we're going to be just testing an idea. We're going to hang out. We're going to talk about some stuff, whiskey, non-whiskey, and we're going to see what works and what doesn't. Because we have an idea. Oh, Matt. Yeah. Dude, no worries, dude. No thumbnail. Spent the day with a sick kid trying to make my landlords can sug it, as Trev would say. But Matt and I are going to go back and forth, and we're gonna just hang out and shoot the shit, talk about whiskey, talk about not whiskey, and we're gonna see if it works. Because we're talking about doing a podcast together, and this is kind of like an experiment to see if he hates me or not. You know, we're gonna see if Matt can stomach me for 2 hours. And if he can, then I'll beg him to do a podcast with me. So that's that. It's going to be fun. But for a long time, I've thought about doing a whiskey podcast because I used to have a music podcast. And it was, mildly successful in my industry. And it was doing pretty well. And I killed it when COVID happened. And I let it go. But the numbers were good. And I've always wanted to do a whiskey podcast, but I didn't want to do it alone. I did my music podcast alone, but I did bring in guests 80% of the time. For the whiskey thing, I knew that I would want to do a co-host, and so when I say co-host and I say Matt, you would think, no, Matt's the host, and you're the co-host. You're like the co-host. Emphasis on the co. That's how I feel too. If Matt chooses to do this with me, but I texted him last night late, and I was like, dude, you want to do a podcast? So we've just been talking about it. It's like, this seems like a natural thing for us to do, you know? So yeah, what did Matt say to call it? The Matt and Drum. You got, come on. I got nothing to say to that, man. Nancy, I yanked them all. I got real self-conscious during COVID. I overthought my entire life and existence, and I yanked all of my episodes of my podcast. So not great. But hey, Nancy, if Matt and I do this podcast, you gotta be one of the first guests, you know? Nimmer Access Podcast, I'm in. Well, that's the thing, Keith. We don't want to keep it all whiskey. Yeah, let's talk whiskey, of course. That's what we know. But, I think Matt and I are Matt, look, Matt would be like one of my best friends if he lived close to me. He'd be one of my best friends. We'd be hanging out all the time. We'd be going to B-Dubs or Dave and Buster's watching the fights. We would do all that stuff. So, one thing I've been trying to do in my life is find a better balance of work to friends. Because I've just ignored all my friends for a couple of years now as I've dealt with COVID, mental health, all that stuff. It's I want to find a better balance in my life and get back to being just a better human, you know? And so with Matt, I think that would be awesome. That'd be an awesome way for us to stay in touch, work together, be friends. You know, all of those things combined. ADHD Drams. I have some ideas for our name, but it's 1,000,000% not going to be the Matt and Drum. Let's just say that. Matt, it has to be whiskey and a ton of other stuff. We could call it Stuff and Whiskey. Oh, I love you, Matt. Okay, here's the deal. I think both of our names... We're going to get to this Peerless tasting in a second, I promise you, everybody. I think the title should have both of our names in it. And of course, Matt should get top billing, right? If you think of it that way. So if our names are in the title, it's got to be Matt and Cam. Matt and Cam. It could be Matt and Cam's Whiskey Adventures. Or it could be Matt and Cam's Whiskey Rants, or Matt and Cam Talk Whiskey. Like, it could be a lot of things, but it's not just whiskey, you know, in our minds, but it could be advertised as such, and we could go off on tangents. It doesn't matter. People think too hard about names, and we're gonna probably think too hard about it too. But if it was Cam and Matt, I don't want to get top billing. But then we could do rhymes. Cam and Matt's Whiskey Chats. You know, Cam and Matt's Whiskey Chats. That's a pretty good one. Come on. Come on, Keith. Matt and Cam's Whiskey Adventures is it's like the name of a Game Boy Color video game and also the podcast, you know? Cam and Matt's Whiskey Chats. But dude, it can't be like, it could be ADHD Whiskey Podcast. Okay. It could be that. And that would be great. It could be like, yeah, but I think it should be something totally different and unique, you know? Matt and Cam talking on the can. Matt, we could only record the podcast when we're shitting on the toilet. Dude, come on. No. Clay, I shit you not. When I was talking to Sarah about this earlier, she goes, the number one thing that you cannot call this podcast is a fireside chat. That is exactly what she said to me. But we could both wear sweater vests. Krista Nolan. That's a new name. Krista, what is up? Thanks for jumping in. And thanks for commenting. I swear that you and my boyfriend could be best friends. We are going up to Columbus the end of June through the first week of July. That's a really hard time for me, personally, because I have a big audition the first week of July. But I'm playing, and I play shows every weekend. But we're going up. Krista, send me an email. drumsanddrams@gmail.com. I'll put it in the chat. And let me know your schedule. I cannot guarantee anything, but it could work out. So there you go. drumsanddrams@gmail.com. That's awesome. We should totally meet up if it works out. ADHD and D. Matty Mouse and Bam Bam Cam talk whiskey and other things. That's Amy. Amy, we're at a 50 character limit. That's probably like 75. Scotty Alexander, thank you for the $5 super chat. Cheers. Enjoying the stream as always and cracking my Middle West pumpernickel. Favorite Four Roses recipe, OESQ. A really good OESQ or a really good OBSK. I love like a A spicy OBSK is a great recipe. 10.5-year-old OBSK, tier 3, tier 4. If you go OESQ, I like tier 5, tier 6, a little younger. It's kind of, a little bit more brash, fruitier. But I've also never had any of like the really intense OESV, OESO, the stuff that people, make legends about. I haven't had any of those, so I can't speak to that. Matt says, I can get refat and we can call it Cam and Big. No, dude, you're freaking killing it. We're not doing that. David Burkett, stay out of Columbus. Colorado Cornhole has a nice ring to it. Oh my God. Krista is coming in hot, says Keith. Matt and Cam do Murica. Matt and ADHD Drams ringside pours. This is hilarious. Nancy says, how about Biggie Smalls? Just call it Schlammered. Oh, the SJ Hour. SJ Hour is like top in my mind. Top billing. Clay with SJ Hour. This is top 5. Easy. World's Top Whiskey Taster and Cam talk whiskey and tings. Okay, Conor McGregor. Drums and Adderall. Mojo, you were getting some flack the other day in the Facebook group. I don't know if it was the Junkies or another group, but you made a post and people were going hard at you, and I thought it was hilarious, dude. Keep it up. Keep stirring it, man. I loved it. And you had like a reasonable take, I felt like, too. Matt and Cam's burlesque. You don't want to see that. There you go, Matt talking ADHD meds. There's an Adderall shortage, Mojo. Not cool, more like Vicams. Little Vyvanse joke in there. Oh my God. It's Peerless time, guys. Keep the names coming. Triangles and pineapples. Jesus, Lord Almighty. The world's top whiskey taster and guest. I agree with that. Aiden, what did you say, dude? You're right. I can't read that, man. You guys are literally typing sentences as a title. You're writing a short story as the title of the podcast. Triangles and pineapples, Travis, might be top 5 also. Okay. Enough of this shit. Let's get into this Peerless High Rye, which is, again, perhaps the most exciting thing I'm tasting tonight. And it is like, one shade lighter than the Peerless Double Oak, but if you guys have checked out the Peerless Double Oak, you know these things are, they look like motor oil. William Molnar, dude. No, come on. Cut me some slack. 110.6 proof on the nose. All right. It is concentrate. It is flavor concentrate in bourbon. It is all dark fruit and leather and root beer and cream soda. This thing is heavy. It's a little dry on the nose. It's intense, but it's so concentrated in flavor. That's what makes this thing stand out. Matt and Cam on the verge of Sleek and the Geek. ADH Diddles. I like that. That's some drummer That's some drummer humor. Two's Company, Three's a Crowd podcast. Mojo, can't wait to see us at Pours. Dude, I can't wait to see you at Pours. 4 a.m. crew. Bring in Disco 3, 175-month beam decanters. Oh, shit, dude. Let's go. Might bring an Old Magnus cigar blend. I'll bring whatever I have left of this batch 73. I'll bring that. Let's crack that open. So, this Peerless High Rye, there is a floral component, which has got to be coming from that High Rye component. I think this might be the most exciting whiskey I've smelled and tasted this year so far. It's end of May. I know there's half the year to go, but the concentrated nature of this, how full flavored it is, it hits above its age, it hits above its proof. It has some modern dusty notes. If you guys have tasted a lot of dusties and modern whiskeys that kind of imitate those dusty notes, you know what I'm talking about. This has modern dusty notes. And it has that root beer thing that some random MGP whiskeys have. Old Louisville Batch 1 is the one that I always talk about. Shauna, you say the last jam. I say the last dram with Matt and Cam. Matt, what do you think about that, dude? The last dram? Or something dram with Matt and Cam? That, I'm going to write that down. ADHD Drams is also kind of a cool. ADHD Drams with Matt and Cam? Sure. These are all like pretty good ideas. The podcast. Oh, Mojo's talking about Wild Turkey 12-year Asian export market also. That's awesome. That's a great bottle. After it gets some air too. Jesus. Batch 76 maybe. Nice. Wham bam. Thank you, Dram. Travis did not get to go to A1. Dude, A1, I'm telling you, it was such a shock to me. I went to the smaller of the two stores also, and they said this one has a better selection, even though it's a little bit smaller. The Pod Crash. Lads drinking bourbon. Bourbon pursuit. Anything sound good? I think they're all contenders. What about Whiskey Contender? You know? David, I've still not done my first official barrel pick. I feel like my first barrel pick will probably be a collab. You know, a collaborative barrel pick with somebody else. Just to get off the ground. I would think that's probably more realistic now that a year ago it was easier to get barrel picks if you had like 10K subs, let's say. I feel like nowadays so many people are doing barrel picks that you have to have kind of an in to get there, maybe. But I don't know. We'll see. Middle West is always open to doing things. I just want their products to age a little bit longer because I never want to provide a barrel pick that I think is... It's got to be at least a 90 in my mind, you know? Yeah, Joe, I could do a New Riff pick, but I don't like New Riff that much, man. I'm trying to be like, I'm trying to have the integrity. It's hard in my mind to be picky because it's like, who am I to be picky? But if I want to do the damn thing, I really want to do it right. Matt. Look, guys, if you like big, heavy, dark bourbon, dark fruit, not too sweet, like intense, a little bit of savory, floral. And I don't mean Four Roses floral because that gets kind of bright. This, I cannot say enough about this Peerless High Rye. This, to me, tonight is like a 92 out of 100 type bourbon. I mean, it has flaws, yes. In 2 years, this stuff is going to be off the charts. If it's 8 years old. This is some of the most exciting whiskey I have tasted in at least a year. I don't get excited about whiskey like this very often. I did it on Patreon last night. I'm starting to feel worked up about it again. Peerless High Rye Bourbon. I know 140 is a lot. Look around the market. This shit is getting more expensive every day. I don't agree with this price point. I don't like it. Production costs on this, I can't imagine, are an extra 40% as compared to their bourbons and ryes, if they're at 100, let's say. But regardless, and I don't know the technical MSRP. I paid $140. I looked it up online. It seemed like between $130 and $140 is the going rate. This stuff, while I don't agree with the price, is an absolutely incredible bourbon, and it's something worth getting excited about. Finally. I don't want to use the Dram report with Matt and Cam. I actually want to keep the Dram report because I have plans of doing that on here. Keith, 100% poor man's pirate bottle. I get that. But Matt, isn't around the barrel, isn't that the Jack Daniels thing? Yeah. I think around the glass is too close, man. We could say up the glass. Directly up the glass with Matt and with Cam and Matt. Whatever you said. Up Matt's ass with Cam. Up Matt's ass. Up glass A with Cam, you know. Up glass A. Or around glass D. Oh, Jesus. Rickhouse Rants. Oh, Rickhouse Rants is pretty cool, Shauna. That's a good... Like, the things that I feel like could also spawn other ideas are interesting. But the SJ Hour... Yeah, you're right. SJ Hour is pretty hilarious. That feels like a segment, you know? Matt, that's why it sounds familiar. Joe, I don't know if I can put that on the screen either. So let's quickly talk about... I can't even taste whiskey tonight anymore. Peerless High Rye versus the Double Oaked Bourbon. I haven't had a Double Oaked Rye, by the way. The Double Oaked Bourbon is definitely darker, burnt marshmallow, burnt, chocolate type notes, but it has that tinge of rubberiness. Espresso, coffee. Yeah. It's going to appeal to a lot of people because of just the darkness of the profile, but to me it's a little overbearing, a little bitter, dry. The Peerless High Rye is just a great bourbon. No gimmicks, not pulling any punches, doesn't need a double oak, doesn't need an extra barrel. That's it. I'm telling you, that's so good. Matt, I love the Bunghole Show. I'm not even kidding. I love the Bunghole Show. I'm going to write that down too. The Bunghole Show. And then we can have a segment called the SJ Hour. I mean, come on. And then at the end of the show, we can have the last dram with Matt and Cam. Barrel BS, down the dram. Down the drams, I like that. Swirl Job has a patent. David, Swirl Job has a patent. Bunghole Pirates. The Bunghole Show. The Bunghole Show is so good, guys. Like, when you're thinking about doing this, it's like, I don't want it to be too jokey, but also it can be. The Long Pour Podcast is a great name, Steamface. Gotta be sponsor friendly. All right. Nancy, thanks for hanging out this long. Oh my God, you made it 2 hours. Past dinner time here on the West Coast. I watched the rest of this wonderful episode. Have a great... Nancy, thank you, and cheers to you with Batch 73, Return of the Dark One. Which, yes, it is better than Peerless High Rye, but damn, Peerless High Rye is, for what it is fantastic. And just, Nancy, you're the best. Yeah, Matt, drain pour segment. Just talk about shit in our lives. It sucks. We could ask each other, what's your drain pour this week? You know? Judgmental people. And then we could just talk about how we hate judgmental people. You know? Not only am I laughing hysterically at Bunghole, I'm laughing hysterically at you calling me out for laughing hysterically at Bunghole. That's the worst. The whiskey bungholes. The honey barrel pod. Shauna, you are coming in hot with this. Oh my God. The honey barrel pod. There's so many ideas in all this stuff. The bunghole thieves. We'll fix it in the edit. Oh my God. Oh, Matt, I missed this. The Long Pour Podcast is the name I recommended for Dan and Sean. We'll see what they do. Matt. Austin, no, we still have one more pour to go before the Armagnac. I can't believe we still have one more pour to go. We've gotten a little sidetracked with potential podcast names for Matt and I. I gotta get some glasses. Okay, fresh glasses. Oh, Austin, had to leave for a bit. Did you already talk? I didn't read the last half of that. Store By Me has the exact bottle, and I'm debating grabbing it. So they have this, the cask is called Snowblind, 1979. I did not read, you must be in Illinois then, right? Because I think I saw that the people that got this, I think they were all in Illinois, but maybe not. Okay. Before we get, let's do it. Let's do that real quick, and then we're going to do Matt's. Right after that, we will end with Matt's. That was way too much. Jesus. Oh, God. We can end with Matt's Jack Daniels pick right after that. Oh, my God, Travis. Again, dude, you're telling a short story in a title. Let's just give I don't know if this is a 15 or 10 or 5-minute warning. Probably more like 35-minute warning, but it doesn't matter. Get in on tonight's giveaway if you guys want a chance to taste what I'm tasting this evening. The Peerless Double Oaked. No, that's not it. That's not even involved. The Peerless High Rye Bourbon. The Redwood Cask Strength Pipe Dream. 42-year Armagnac. Matt's Jack Daniels pick. Both Middle West picks that I tasted tonight. I will throw in the Hard Truth Batch 1 Sweet Mash Rye. I'm not going to taste that tonight. I don't have time. Or Liver Power. And David Nicholson 1843. I'll probably throw in the Green River Weeded so you can do that comparison and go back and rewatch the video as well. But a great sample flight of a lot of different stuff, including a really old Armagnac, which I'm going to taste here right now. For Austin and for others who are waiting as well, but Austin asked about it just a second ago. Joe says, I feel like that Armagnac had more in it last night. Yeah, Joe, for those of you who maybe weren't here at the beginning of the stream, Sarah bought me this flask a few years ago. It's got my name on it and everything, and so it's kind of clunky, it's kind of chunky, a big flask. So putting it in a jacket pocket it's like everything the jacket can do to get this flask in it. But I went to this event tonight, and the Symphony's COO was honored with what do they call it? The 40 under 40 of Columbus. So he was honored tonight, and we had a table of like 10 of us from the orchestra, admin, some musicians, and it was a pretty cool night. But that's why I'm dressed up like this. And I told him I would bring him something nice. So I was thinking, like, he knows I do whiskey stuff, but I felt like, I don't know what his experience with this stuff is. And there's a really good talking point to saying, like, I brought you something that's over 40 years old, like a 42-year Armagnac. So I brought the 42-year Armagnac tonight in the flask, which is why this is down so low. After last night, it was probably up here. So I filled that up, and I poured it for him. I didn't even say what it was before. I said, I brought you something special. And he tasted it, and he was like, do you normally put, water or ice in your bourbon? And I found out he actually loves Lagavulin 16. He loves smoky scotch. I didn't know that. I would have brought him something different, to be honest. But he seemed to really like this Armagnac. He came back for seconds to me, asked for more. So I poured it for him, and we killed this flask of the Armagnac. It was fun. It was a good night. VG in for 5. Thank you. Thank you for getting in on the giveaway tonight. And I think I've got Amy one more from William Molnar. Five additional entries from William Molnar in my Venmo. He says, great show tonight, Cam. Thank you, man. Cheers to that with this Armagnac. Jason Blackburn in for... Wait. Was that right? No, it's Travis. Travis is in for one tonight, Amy. Travis R is in for one entry, $5 super chat. Thank you, Travis, for that, man. I appreciate it. Let me check the PayPal here real quick. I have 10 on my PayPal. Oh, from Amy. Thanks, Amy. Olive oil, of course. Glad you're back. Cheers. Thanks, Amy. Cheers. Let's do a little jazz tonight. Let's do a little jazz now. So in total, Amy, 1 from Travis, 5 more from William Molnar, and obviously 2 for you, which you've already got, I would imagine. And I need to pull up that spreadsheet on my computer in just a second. But I appreciate you guys sending it. I know you don't get the thing on the screen. I don't pull it up on the screen if you send it to my Venmo or PayPal, but I do appreciate, obviously, YouTube not taking 35% of that cut. So either way, I never fault anybody for sending a super chat. I'll put it up on the screen. If you send anything, you deserve recognition for it, and that's a really good way of doing it. But thank you guys, especially for sending it direct. That really does help out. So, David, see that King of Kentucky hiding behind you? That's a kilobot. Yeah, I've probably got like 4 ounces of that left, and hopefully I can save that for a special occasion that might happen in July, beginning of July. Whiskey Porter and the Percussionist, the OCDHD podcast. Norseman only drams. Before we get to this tasting here, this final tasting, is Symphony your favorite to play? And if not, I wouldn't say it's my favorite. It's really, really awesome. It's rewarding. It's nice to play with a lot of other people. I like playing solo stuff, and I also like playing I just like playing drum set in bands. It's just a different reward no matter what you do. Playing solo music with electronics or theatrical or whatever, some of the stuff that I do, it's really rewarding because I know that I put all the effort into it, I'm the one on stage. If I screw up, it's only my fault. It's nobody else. I can't blame anyone but me. And I like that component because in my mind, it's a competition against myself, against nobody else. I like in the orchestra because it's a kind of communal effort. The music is so great that we play, but it's nerve-wracking for me, more than playing by myself, actually. And then playing drum set is just fun. And I don't do that very much anymore, so I miss that. Freak Easy podcast, Matt, I'm going to write that down because I like Freak Easy. That's pretty cool. Freak Easy. No, not freakish. Although I am pretty freakish. Clay, have you had any DeRose Armagnac? I have not, but Nancy highly recommends DeRose. I'm tempted on an 87 vintage that was in oak for 34 years plus or minus at 155. I say pull the trigger. I say pull the trigger on that. That's a good deal. Joe, I don't know. It just showed up today, honestly. Matt, there's so much we could do with Corn Hub. So many categories and tags we could do with that. God, Jay, you never let me go, dude. All right, let's taste this. Snowblind is the cask name that they gave this from 1979. 42 years old. Barrel number 2132. 47.8% ABV, so a little bit lower ABV. Let's do it. Delord Armagnac. So at 47, if you guys have ever tasted... let me just rewind 5 seconds. If you've ever smelled Armagnac, you know that what you get from this is... because it's distilled from grapes, essentially, what you're going to get from this is just fundamentally different from bourbon. When you get Armagnac of a certain age and a certain quality and profile, it does start to resemble dusty bourbon from the 70s, the 80s, 90s, early 90s. And I've had a 41-year Armagnac that smelled to me just like old school Stitzel-Weller. Old-ass Stitzel-Weller. This Armagnac in particular is a little more fresh, so it's not coming off like 42 years. It's coming off more like 25, which is a big leap. But I'm going to stand by it. 25 years is what I would say on the nose if I smelled this. And it's a little sharp on the nose, so it feels not only younger because of the sharpness, feels higher proof on the nose than 47.8. Like it hits the nose like 120, and that's a big leap. But it tastes like dates. Candied orange, clove. Smells like a wheated bourbon. But the spice is so aromatic. You know, white pepper on the spicy side of it, on the nondescript side of it. But in terms of the flavors of the spices, this is clove, this is cardamom. Black pepper for sure. Cumin is a weird one. I'm trying to decide if there's cumin in here. It's really, really good. But it's not 42 years old on the nose and palate to me. To me, it's a really nice 23 to 27 year Armagnac that feels more like a 110 proofer. But even with that said, that's the kind of variance you're going to get in single cask Armagnac single cask anything. And in the case of this one, at $130, which is what I paid for this, I bought 3 of them. I'm not mad. I'll probably give one away, you know? I bought 3 so that I could give one away. Probably keep the other as a backup. Do I wish it was a little bit more from a 42 year? Yeah, I do. But at $130, would I go out and buy one again? Yes, 100%. So whoever asked me that earlier, I'll get back to that one, Matt. Whoever was asking me about this and said they had one in their area, Austin. Austin, I would not shy away from buying this at 130 or 140, which is SRP. I would buy it. Yeah. But I had a 41-year sample that was twice as good as this. But twice as good as this is like epic level whiskey, or not whiskey, epic level spirits in that case. This is just this is like an 8.6 out of 10. Knowing that it's a 42 year. It's really good though. Casey, this is good advice. The sweeter notes always come out after they open up and get better after 6 months to a year. Good point, Casey, but I also would say this. I have a 29 year. I have a 29 year here. Single cask. 50.7, so about 3% ABV above the 42 year and 13 years younger. And it tastes older. And it's just a better Armagnac. So these things just really depend, you know. And it's actually darker at 13 years younger. A slight, you know, higher ABV. I don't know much about maturation of Armagnac, but dude, Lance, what's up, man? Yeah, A1 is the jam. Austin, pick it up, man. I think it's worth picking up and exploring. I'm gonna smash this first bottle. I'm gonna get into my backup very quickly. 150, yeah, it's a buy. 150, yeah. And last but not least, let's do this. Let's do the giveaway right now. So, Amy, let's cut the giveaway off. We haven't had anybody in a while. Let me check my Venmo, PayPal. Oh, we actually have 2 more in Venmo, Amy. 2 more people. Tim Dolan Peterson. Tim Peterson in for 2, Amy. He says, jumped in late. Enjoy your content. Thank you, Tim. Cheers to that, man. Appreciate the super chat, the Venmo super chat. And Travis, nope, Travis already got in. This is Avery. Avery Piper. Avery Piper in for 1, Amy. So, $5 super chat from Avery Piper. Love you, Cam. Just got on for the live stream. Sorry you didn't make it to semis of Matt Madness. I'm also bummed about that. And damn it, David. David, you came through on the fireball, man. Get to the finals. But he's got music to make, so that's okay. Thanks for doing these live streams, even though I can't watch live. Avery, thank you, man. So there we go. I think we are caught up. And let me just check the PayPal very quickly. Otherwise, we're cutting this thing off. And we're going to be... Yep, we are done. So, Amy, I got to find that link to this sheet. I got to search through my email, Amy. Sorry, guys. I'm probably just staring at the screen looking like a big dummy. cannot spell. There we go. Okay, and I've got it tonight. Okay, there we go. So, Amy, looks like 52 entries. And I will put it up on the screen and have everybody kind of double check their names with that. All right, so let's do the giveaway, and then the last pour of the night is going to be Matt Porter's ADHD whiskey, Jack Daniel's single barrel proof whiskey, Tennessee whiskey, bourbon, whatever you want to call it. Friday the 13th. All right. But first, the giveaway. So let me share my screen. It's gonna be this one. Okay. And let's get it on the screen. And I have to pull up random.org so I can do this in front of you guys. 7 spins, as always. Here we go. We're going to add this to the stream. We'll pull this out. So here's what we have. We have the names of everybody on the left who has donated. Check if your name is on here. And then on this column is the number of entries you have. So dollar amount divided by 5, number of entries. Okay? Then you populate to this list over here, ending with Avery Piper. And this is what I'm going to plug in, this final list here, copied into a randomizer, spun 7 times. Top 2 people, no duplicates, are going to win tonight's sample packs in the giveaway. So check your name versus your dollar amount divided by 5, which is your number of entries. You have, I don't know, a minute, 80 seconds to get into that. And we will address any discrepancies, of course. So Amy tracked this. Thank you, Amy. And I will spin it. And there's no shenanigans. I am telling you, the Peerless High Rye is a bourbon you have to get. I am telling you, if 140 is in your price range, if it's the only bottle you buy this month, you know, maybe get 2 things at 70. But if 140 is in your price range and it's not the only thing you're going to buy for a month, I say pick up the Peerless. You got to make that decision for yourself, given your budget and everything like that. But it's just such a good whiskey. All right, like 30 more seconds to find any discrepancies, but I think we should be good to go here. Thank you again, Amy. All right. So let's pull this up. Random.org. Everybody's in. 7 spins. Speak now or forever hold your peace. And then Matt, Jack Daniel's is the last taste. Okay, here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Here's the final spin. Top 2 are going to win it. No duplicates. We will go down to the next one. 7. Boom. Let's go here. Oh, nope, not that. And boom. Norseman's Only Drams and William Molnar. There it is. Congrats, you two. This is the deal. Email me. William Molnar, you're making out like a fat rat, dude. You've won a few things. drumsanddrams@gmail.com. It's right there in the chat. I'm going to write this down so I don't forget. tonight is May 26th. We're going to get into Matt's barrel pick right now. Winners 5. It's actually 5:25. It's just past midnight. And William Molnar. Cool. Congrats, guys. That is awesome. Thank you so much for all of your super chats. Everybody who's hanging out tonight. Thank you for being here. Thank you for supporting the channel, subscribing, hitting the, whatever you've done. I appreciate all of you. And thank you, Matt, for being my friend. On a real weenie kind of note here. And the possibility of starting a podcast with you is awesome. And we're going to test run this stuff tomorrow. But let's get into your pick, dude. Look, if your pick sucks, we can't start a podcast. Pressure. I'm just kidding, dude. Kagan Key, damn it, Cam. I literally just picked up Maker's BEP, a Woodinville cask pick, and a Jack single barrel proof rye. Nice pickup on that. I don't have that one yet. But Peerless is my favorite craft distillery right now. Yeah, I hate to say it, but you got to hunt for this bottle too. Yeah. Yeah, drum fill for the win. Thank you, Amy. Yeah, guys, hit that like button if you haven't already. Let's get to 100 likes tonight. All right, Matt Porter. Here you go, dude. Friday the 13th. Bourbon, Bobos, and Biscuits. Dan Sean and the likes are on this sticker. 129.6 proof. Let's see what's going on here. Bread with Nutella. Toast with Nutella. Toasted wheat bread with Nutella. Okay. Toasted wheat bread with Nutella, dark honey, molasses, which is a standard Jack barrel proof note. That the thing that Matt taught me, I always like to talk about when people teach me tasting notes or ideas of distilleries. Matt is the one that taught me the red wine finish, he calls it, on Jack Daniels. The red wine note is on this nose. Unbaked bread, yeast. And Mexican chocolate, so cinnamon chocolate. Very interesting nose on this one. A little sharp, a little young. All the Jack single barrel proofs are young. We can surmise, but very good. The palate on this thing is crazy. It just goes and goes and goes forever. It's not. We're not even in the finish. Now we're in the finish. It just goes. And the finish, little funky, little tannic, and I like that. I like the tannic, funky oak in the finish. Wow. Yeah. The age on the back end is really nice. It doesn't show up on the nose. It doesn't feel aged on the nose. But mid-palate, as you get into the finish, you start to feel that this is probably hitting above its age. Yeah, that's good. It's very good. So the other thing about this, there you go, down the hatch. None of us know what Matt had to work with on this pick. So the other ones could have been god awful. You just have no idea. When you guys go do a pick, if you've never done one, everyone is different. You just don't know what you're going to get. And sometimes you have to say, do you have anything else you can pull out? And oftentimes the answer is yes, but it's a crapshoot. I have not had more than a couple Jack single barrel proof, so I'm not like the expert. I haven't had 10, 20, 30 of these picks. I just don't know them very well. I know Coy Hill. I know Jack 10. I know the Rye. I own one of these, a standard shelfer version. This is really, really good whiskey. Back to the nose. You get smoked meat. You know what this is? For you wine drinkers out there, this is the Syrah or the Shiraz. I would call this Shiraz because just saying Shiraz, you think Australia, you just think 14.5 to 15.5% alcohol, big peppery but big oaky notes on a wine. Barbecue, it's like a barbecue wine. This is that in whiskey form. It's big, brawny. It pulls no punches. It's unapologetic. But it's also got a little youthfulness to it, a little bit of spunk. This is a whiskey drinker's Shiraz. It's not like a French, it's not like a French Syrah where you're thinking, okay, 13 and a half, a little more delicate. It's not that. This is bold. This is Australian. It's good whiskey. It's really, really good. So Matt is coming in with some notes. White chocolate covered raisins. I'm a little darker than that. On the white chocolate, I don't get the white chocolate. Raisin, yes. Trail mix, yes. I'm with the trail mix. The youthful kind of grainier notes to this give me the trail mix vibes. Like the grainier trail mix vibes. Burnt ends with cranberry. Hang on. So the burnt ends goes along with some of the peppery Syrah-like notes I was saying in terms of wine. Syrah is a barbecue wine. It's savory, it's peppery. The burnt ends make sense. Cranberry sauce as a sour, tangy fruit to go along with the red wine tannic thing that you talk about, that you taught me, Matt. I'm with you on that. Yeah, man. Tasting notes. Spiced purple Jolly Rancher, candied jalapeno, long lingering cherry soaked pepper jerky. Dude, who are you? Viscosity is high to very high. Yeah. Big spice. Spiced purple. You can convince me of any spice that you're talking about here. Candied jalapeno, I'm with you. Spiced purple Jolly Rancher doesn't exist, but I can see what you mean. But candied jalapeno, I'm with you. Long, lingering, cherry-soaked peppered jerky on the finish. I'm going to go darker than cherry. Pepper jerky, I'm with you. So yeah, I agree, man. All of those notes make sense to me. Kagan Key says, I've told people single barrel proof reminds me of a Malbec. Shiraz works too, though. Yeah. A lot of the savory notes. I mean, Matt, I get them, though, man. I get the savory in this. Matt, I'm just now getting into wine like a little bit. Dude, I want to know. I want you to get into wine just a little bit with me, and I just want to taste things with you and go back and forth on tasting notes. This is a really nice whiskey. I don't know the landscape of these single barrel picks and what they're capable of, what the bad ones are like, the shelfers versus the picks. I just don't know that information. So on my very limited knowledge, I really like this stuff. But I'm going to start speaking in a couple of, wine terms. I think this is the Shiraz of whiskey, bourbon, Tennessee whiskey, whatever. So now pouring a little bit of the Coy Hill that Matt sent me, 140.2 proof, 40.6, excuse me. God, the Coy Hill just stands alone. Yeah, that's a different animal. All right. That is going to do it. Congrats to who won the giveaway tonight. Let me pull it up. Jason, Norseman's Only Drams, and William Molnar. Congrats to you two. Thank you for entering. Thank you, everybody, for entering the giveaway tonight. That's the thing, man. You don't have to know the comparison. All you need to know is, do you like it? I do like it. It's a really, really good whiskey. But I like knowing the comparison, too. I like knowing some context. Thank you, everybody, for your super chats, for hanging out, for liking, subscribing, for just being here. All the support. Thank you so much. And I need some sleep. Long day. Too many drinks. Too many alcoholic drinks. Got to go eat some food. Get to bed, and I'm going to wake up really late tomorrow because I have nothing going on. I have the week off for the next few weeks. No performances. So that's that. Timpanis and Trackhawks. Toshi. Cam, we'll send you and Matt each a bottle of Rubicon. Is that a wine or a whiskey? And you can taste together on your podcast. Dude, let's do it. Toshi, you're the freaking man. You know you're the man. Thank you. Cheers, guys. I'm out of here. Matt, I'll see you tomorrow night, Matt. I'll be awake for that. Oh, Inglenook from Napa. Okay. Toshi, I'm excited for that, dude. All right, guys. Cheers. I'll see you soon. Great night. And we're going to have an even better night tomorrow with Matt Porter. All right. See you soon.